All right, so we're diving into a rivalry that's got everyone talking, Man City versus Tottenham Hotspur, and we've got some fascinating articles here, even podcast recommendations pointing to these matches being like must-watch TV. And what's cool about this is it's not just for the diehards. Even if you're not glued to the Premier League every week, this rivalry tells us a lot about how teams change over time. Personalities clash and how some matches just become legendary.
Yeah, for sure. And what's really interesting is that this rivalry, maybe it doesn't have like the decades and decades of history like some of the others, but it's these recent chapters that really make it exciting.
I'm curious about that. What is it about these recent matches that make them stand out?
Well, okay, so think about that 2019 Champions League quarterfinal.
Oh, yeah.
4-4 aggregate score. I mean, that second leg at the Etihad was absolutely bonkers. Back and forth goals. The tension was unbelievable. It was a real, a proper footballing battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And, our sources here, they point out that even their Premier League matches, they have this way of becoming a really pivotal moments in the season, like Tottenham's win in the 22-23 season.
Right.
Really showed that they can shake things up at the top of the table. But it feels like there's more to it than just like wins and losses, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things that really makes this rivalry so interesting to follow is the clash of styles you get when these two teams meet.
Oh, yeah. I'm fascinated by this because you've got Guardiola City, known for their beautiful possession-based attacking football.
Right. And then you've got Tottenham, who've been so adaptable over the years. We've seen them press high. We've seen them absorb pressure. We've seen them hit on the counter. I mean, they really keep everyone guessing, and it makes every match such a tactical chess match.
It really does. And speaking of keeping everyone guessing, you can't ignore the individual players here, the star power.
Mm-hmm.
How does that factor into this rivalry?
Well, I mean, you can't talk about this rivalry without mentioning names like De Bruyne and Haaland for City. You've got Kane and Son for Tottenham,
Oh, yeah.
De Bruyne, I mean, his vision, his passing are just sublime. Haaland, he's a goal-scoring machine. And then Kane, he just seems to find another gear when he plays against City.
It's interesting you say that about Kane because our sources, they really highlight how clinical he is against City. Why do you think that is? Is there something about City's defense that he's particularly good at exploiting?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I think it's a combination of things. Kane, he's incredibly intelligent on the pitch. He reads the game so well. He's able to find those pockets of space between City's center backs and the midfield. But there's also this mental aspect to it. He seems to relish the challenge of playing against City, and he always seems to rise to the occasion.
It's almost like he's got their number.
Yeah.
And speaking of things being a little bit shaken up, our sources also point out that, as of November 2024, we're in a very interesting period for this rivalry. Man City is in a bit of uncharted territory, a 4-match losing streak under Guardiola, including that Carabao Cup loss to Tottenham that's almost unheard of for a Guardiola side.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal, City. They're not used to losing, let alone losing like this. So it makes you wonder, is this just a blip or is this a sign of something bigger? Especially, with Tottenham's recent upturn in form under the new manager. I mean, do you think this could be the start of a power shift?
It's so hard to say. I think it's still early, but it's certainly an intriguing possibility.
Yeah.
But regardless of who's on top, these matches, they always seem to be more than just your average league fixture.
Oh, absolutely. These matches are events.
Wow.
The atmosphere is electric. The quality of football is top notch. The individual battles, it all creates a spectacle that goes beyond just 3 points.
Right. So to recap, we've got a rivalry fueled by, these contrasting styles, star-studded lineups, and some pretty big question marks about what the future holds. I mean, It's a pretty compelling combination.
It really is. And it leads us to a fascinating question, Is this the changing of the guard, or will we see City, kind of reassert their dominance? It's a question that's going to be answered on the pitch and one that's going to keep us all on the edge of our seats, I think.
I think so, too. And the next time these two clash, I urge you to watch it with fresh eyes because you'll see it's about way more than just the final score.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the tactical battle that's unfolding, the individual matchups, the ebb and flow of the game. You might just find yourself caught up in the drama of it all.
Oh, for sure.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the Man City Spurs rivalry. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Cheers, Weir.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.